All right, getting a little bit of a later start today than I would have liked. I slept a little longer than I would have, but I guess I needed that sleep. So here we are. I'm going to go ahead and open this guy that I've been sitting on for a while, and this is a Mcfarlane DC Multiverse Shazam Fury of the Gods Shazam. Now, I don't care what the lawyers say. As far as I'm concerned, this character's name is Captain Marvel, so I will probably be referring to him as Captain Marvel throughout this review. But the official name on the box is Shazam, so if you're going to go looking for this figure, that's what he's called. Here's a piece of artwork on the back. Now, this is based on the movie, which is the sequel to the first Shazam movie, which I didn't see. I think a lot of people wound up not seeing it. I think it's on HBO Max now if you want to check it out. But yeah, this was one of the casualties of them announcing they were just going to straight up do a reboot and none of this other stuff mattered, which is I think a lot of these movies would have done better if they had have just like had a proper conclusion to the continuity that they had going on. You know, just do one last movie, like bring Zack Snyder back or whatever, and have a proper conclusion to everything. But no, it was just kind of like this lame duck period DC Comics because James Gunn decided it'd be a better idea just go ahead and reboot everything. So let's see how well that's going to work out for him in the long run. That's what the top looks like. It's got the Shazam logo on there. We already looked at the back. That's what that side looks like. It's pretty much standard DC Multiverse packaging. Let's go ahead and take it out of the box. It's having a hard time for whatever reason. All right, so here we go. And we got the typical DC Multiverse blue insert with the comic book covers on the back. Lots of classic comic book covers. We've got the card and the stand on two different bubbles, which I prefer for them to be on the same bubble because then it's easier to get the card off. But thankfully, I was able to get the card off with no damage this time. It looks like this one, the edges of the card are a little rounded off, which, will probably help with them not getting like all bent in at the corners when people try to take this off. So it's got the same piece of artwork on the card that we saw on the back of the package. It's a pretty decent likeness of actor Zachary Levi, but it almost kind of looks more like they did a little bit of blending with what the character of Captain Marvel actually looks like in the comics. So it says Shazam, Fury of the Gods, real name, data file, real name, Billy Batson. Oh, this is what the back looks like, by the way. Billy Batson's parents died when he was still a baby. Now, kinda. We'll get back to that in a second. The orphan child believed he had no one to rely on and had to fend for himself. One day, he was guided to the Rock of Eternity, where the ancient wizard Shazam waited. The world needed heroes, and the boy became the wizard's new champion, able to transform himself into an adult superhero by calling down a magical bolt of lightning. Now, whenever evil must be stopped, or people are in need of help, Earth can rely on the power of Shazam. So I do like the fact that this doesn't actually say that his name is Shazam anywhere on the back. This could just as easily be a description of like the Golden Age version of Captain Marvel as it could be any of the more modern versions of Captain Marvel. And in fact, I would say it's a better description of the character as he appears in the comic book because they say that his parents died when he was still a baby. And that was not the case in the movie because we know that I almost called her Marilyn Manson. He would have been better off with Marilyn Manson being his mother. Marilyn Batson just abandoned him in an amusement park. And then when he finally found her years later was like, yeah, I don't want to talk to you because I'm a horrible person. She was a horrible person. So remember this Mother's Day. Everybody should have a happy Mother's Day except Marilyn Batson. All right, moving right along. Let's get the figure stand off of the package. And he does come with a few accessories. We'll get into those. There's the figure stand, and of course it is the standard DC Multiverse figure stand with the glossy black DC logo embossed onto it. Set that aside for now. And he comes with two extra hands, one of which came untaped in the package, and it's this open hand. for the left hand. And then there's a right hand that is a solid fist. And on the figure itself, we see that he has an open hand on his right hand and a solid fist on the left hand. So you can give him 2 solid fists, 2 open hands, 1 solid fist, 1 open hand, however you want to set it up. And then he's got these 2 lightning bolts that I'm sure will attach around his hands or around his forearms or whatever. And then we got to kind of try to pry this tape out of the tray here. You know, they say that it's a rights issue with Marvel Comics that they can't call him Captain Marvel anymore. And I don't think that that's the case. I suspect what it actually is, because he's been called Captain Marvel all this time, and Marvel never really seemed to have a problem with it throughout, you know, the 70s, the 80s, and 90s, all of which he was called Captain Marvel. No, I think the real truth is they knew they had a movie coming out, and they did not want to say the M word in a DC movie. So that's why they decided to not call him Captain Marvel anymore. Now, Mark Waid had been writing the Shazam comic book recently, and he had taken to just calling the character simply the Captain, because you know, maybe you can't call him Captain Marvel, but he's not going to call him Shazam, because that's ridiculous. So here he is out of the package. We can see that this is an excellent likeness of the actor Zachary Levi, which some people might hold against this figure. I know he's had his share of PR problems. Like there was some kind of thing with the jab, where he'd said something that had people think that he was an anti-vaxxer. I don't know if that was even the case, or if it was just something that was blown out of proportion, because I don't really pay too much attention to that kind of crap. And I know a lot of the Snyderverse fans were, you know, kind of irritated with him for certain comments that he'd made about the Snyderverse, going all the way back to the release of Snyder Cut movement, and him trying to claim that the Snyder Cut didn't existed, which of course it wound up it did. So a lot of them aren't too happy with him. But, you know, and then, like, a lot of people were critical of his performance in this most recent movie, like, because he played Captain Marvel as more juvenile even than the young actor playing Billy Batson played his character, and that didn't seem to make a lot of sense. So, I don't know. Since everything's getting rebooted anyway, I think you kind of bet on the wrong horse, you know, going skiing with Peter Safran and all that. And, he's probably not going to be playing Captain Marvel again, if we see the character again for a while, because the last movie did so poorly. Unfortunately, I didn't see it, so I don't know if it deserved to do poorly or if it deserved to do a lot better. But looking at the action figure, I can tell that they have redesigned Captain Marvel's costume to much more resemble the vintage Golden and Silver Age appearances of the character. He now has, you know, it's still a very ornate lightning bolt, but it's just a lightning bolt on the red suit instead of being a lightning bolt on a gold breastplate on the red suit. So, you know, I'm going to go ahead and swap out the hands. I want him to have solid fists for now. So I'm going to go ahead and put we'll see how that looks. I think these hands would be good for, like, spell casting hands. So if you want to have them, like, shooting the lightning bolts, that might be best. But let's go ahead and have a look at his articulation. So the head rotates all the way around. It is a little stiff, but it does rotate all the way around. Looks up about that far. Looks down about that far. So pretty good range of motion on the head. He can tilt his head quizzically from side to side. Zachary Levi's interpretation of a character with the wisdom of Solomon does seem rather easily confused. So that should come in handy for you. His arms do rotate all the way around the shoulders, and the arms go up about that far in terms of the shoulders. So about average, I'd say. Bicep swivel, bicep rotates all the way around. He does have the double jointed elbows. That's about the range of motion on the elbows. Not the best that I've seen lately, but, you know, still pretty decent, I think. He's got the cool Mcfarlane ball jointed wrists, and these are the newer style of ball jointed wrists that are kind of like have details sculpted onto them, not just pure ball joints, but you can see it kind of extends on the design of the wrist gauntlets, the bracers, whatever you want to call them. And you can move those around any which way you want to, although mine seems a little stiff over here, but I managed to coax it. So I didn't even need to use the hairdryer, just kind of coaxed it a little bit. Remember, never force your joints, because that's a good way to break your joints. If you can't get it to move with gentle coaxing, make sure you apply some heat to it with a hairdryer, maybe even dip it in some boiling water if you gotta. But I find the hairdryer method works best for me. That's just me. So we can get into some pretty cool poses already. Just messing around with the arms. So, and he does have the cool Mcfarlane torso joint, so you can tilt his torso any which way you want to. Rotates at the waist too, so you can do that if you like. Legs kick up about that far. Got some tight joints on the legs, and they don't really quite. This one seems to actually go a little bit further. I don't know why. It might just be my perspective or whatever, but yeah, it goes up about that far. Not the best range of motion on the legs. I don't know if it's because the trunks are hindering it, or because it's got those Mcfarlane rubber trunks, or if it's that's just as far as it goes. But I can't really seem to get it to go any further than that. I can't really tell why. So sometimes it's because the trunks are a hindrance, and sometimes it's just the leg just goes that far, and I can't really tell which is which in this case. Got the double joint knees bend about that far. So pretty decent range of motion at the knees. There's a lot of articulation on this guy that I'm finding is decent. Not great, but not bad. It's about average. So he's got the cool Mcfarlane ball joints at the ankles as well. Ankle points down about that far. Ankle points up about that far. He has the toe articulation because they want to show off. And of course, since it is the sort of ball jointed ankle there, you can get it to rotate here. There's no boot cut, but you can get it to rotate at the top of the ankle. And it seems like this one, the peg is a little stiff at the ankle. Let's try the other one. Those seem like they're just stuck solid. So those are going to have to take the hairdryer later. So I don't really like to do the hairdryer in the episodes if I can avoid it. But I'm sure they'll loosen up once I hit it with a hairdryer. I might have to do the thing where I heat it up and actually remove it and plug it back in. And usually that does the trick with wrists and ankles that are kind of frozen up like that. Usually, I find a lot of the times it's the characters with the gold paint for whatever reason. Maybe the gold just doesn't dry as thoroughly, as immediately as other types of paint, and that's why. I don't know. But I do like the way they redesigned this costume for this movie. I didn't hate the New 52 costume. It's actually one of the few costumes from the comics that I actually rather liked. I thought they did a good job. Excuse me. I thought they did a good job with that New 52 Shazam costume. It was pretty decent. And this does carry over a lot of the elements of it, and it kind of simplifies it a little bit more, and it kind of brings it a little more in line with the original Golden Age design. So that's nice. It does still have a lot of the surface detail type textures that you see a lot in your modern superhero comics, movie adaptations. But it is the sort of thing where even with a red costume, and red tends to kind of wash out the details on the camera, you can still make out a lot of those details. And there's actually two tones of red to it because it's got a slightly darker red down the sides of the suit. And again, I figure that's probably just the sort of thing to give it a little more depth when it appears on the screen and not have everything just wash out and look kind of flat. You put more surface detail onto things. You put a slightly different shade of red on there. It kind of helps with that sort of thing. So this is a pretty good figure of Captain Marvel. And even if you're not really a fan of the movie version, I feel like the costume is close enough to the comic book version that, he'll fit in with your comic book type figures. And if you don't like Zachary Levi as Captain Marvel, you can always get a different head and pop it on there. There's Captain Marvel heads that you can find on cults3d.com. I've downloaded a couple. One is a little more Alex Ross-like, and one is a little more sort of CC Beck-like. There's the Superpowers Shazam. You can download the whole Superpowers Shazam and print it out. But I wouldn't recommend scaling that head up too much because it's made for a smaller figure and it'll probably look kind of weird on the, when it's scaled up to 7 inches. But anyway, this figure can still be found pretty cheap on Amazon. So you can get them on Amazon if you're interested. I pre-ordered this on Amazon like before it even came out, and that's how long I've been sitting on this figure. But once they did that whole thing with the reboot, and I just kind of killed any enthusiasm I had for DC movie stuff for a while. So that's why I never really got around to opening him up. But it's a pretty neat figure, and I'm glad that I have it. So now that like enough time has passed, let's go ahead and put these lightning bolts on him. See what it looks like with the lightning bolts. So they should just kind of clip around his arms here. They don't stay on him very well though. But yeah, there's where he looks like with a lightning bolt coming off his arm. So probably how I would do these is more sort of with the arms pointing up. I think that's a cool look with the almost as if lightning is coming into him and giving him the power. So that's pretty cool. Anyway, the original Captain Marvel back in the Golden Age was probably one of the most popular superheroes around. Would regularly outsell Superman. So of course DC had to, sue to get this character off the stands, and the court case just went on forever until Fawcett Comics, who was the publisher of Captain Marvel, kind of gave up the ghost because they realized the writing was on the wall and superhero comics were kind of dying out. But they didn't die out permanently. They just kind of went into sort of a hibernation for a while until they came back in the late 1950s. Maybe if they had stuck around, Captain Marvel would still be just as popular today as he was back in the day if Fawcett hadn't given up. But what wound up happening was when Jack Kirby was over at DC, he was a big fan of the original Captain Marvel, and he convinced them, hey, why don't you guys just buy the rights to it and publish it yourself? They're not doing anything with it right now. And they did. So he's been a DC character ever since. I believe originally they just licensed Captain Marvel and then finally just outright bought him, because it was a sort of thing where like kind of shady if you think about it. DC, being the owners of Superman, were the only people that could legally get away with publishing Captain Marvel without going to court. So they managed to pull a fast one there, even though I don't think they did it on purpose. They just kind of accidentally fell into a fast one, as it were. So anyway, I got a lot more stuff to open. I still got Donna Troy, Captain Atom, the classic Martian Manhunter, Animal Man, Midnighter, a lot of good stuff. Also, I have the Colin Farrell version of the Penguin. And I've got some stuff that's on the way that I ordered from Big Bad Toy Store. And I've got a couple of things coming from Amazon that, little surprises we got coming up. Well, one really big surprise, but you'll just have to see that when we come to it. Got a lot of G.I. Joes that are supposed to be showing up this week, according to looking at my Amazon pre-orders. Duke Quick Kick, that's the vintage style Duke, the vintage style Recondo, Quick Kick, Techno Viper, those guys are supposed to be showing up Monday at my mom's house. And then Scarlet and the Action Soldier. I can't imagine those are going to be too much longer if these are showing up. So, and then I finally got a classic style Superman that I found on Entertainment Earth. And I found that one when it was on back order. So I ordered one of those from them. First time I'd ordered anything from Entertainment Earth since 2015 or something. It's been a long time. So anyway, that's pretty much it for this episode. If you enjoyed it, please make sure you like and subscribe. All the fun YouTube stuff down below. Leave a comment. Let me know what you think about this figure and the character of Captain Marvel in general. What do you think about him in the movies? Did you like the old Filmation live action show? Did you like the old Filmation animated Shazam? That's pretty obscure. One thing I will mention before I head out is again, like with a lot of these flying characters, I'm disappointed that he didn't come with a flight stand. I kind of feel like every Mcfarlane flying character should come with a flight stand. And Shazam, Captain Marvel, he doesn't come with one. So that's a little bit of an oversight. I wish he had him come with a flight stand. But c'est la vie. We will talk to you next time. Bye.